is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby.
Are you ready for a break?
Yes,
Are you ready for a break?
absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on a break.
with Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
Good morning, Cowboys Nation. It is season whatever episode don't know of Cowboys Break, and I am David Hellman, hosting today's episode because Derek Eagleton made an ill-advised decision over drinks last night. Hello, I'm here with Nick Eatman, Derek Eagleton, Ambar Garcia. You know the drill. We're going to talk about your favorite football team and do all that kind of good stuff. And not surprisingly, all the cool stuff happens after a day off, right? You think it's going to be the downtime, and the response to that is they cut one of their most prominent players, which sounds weird to say about a third-string tight end, and a whole bunch of contract news drops overnight. So, which topic do y'all want to start with? We're gonna get to them both, but what would you rather talk about right now?
Basically, this started as kind of a dare. Like, why don't you just host?
No,
tomorrow?
you know how it started.
No.
Derek said he didn't want to host.
It started with me saying, now this is roughly about 10 o'clock last night, and we're standing there, and I'm like, I haven't even prepared for tomorrow's show. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. And Dave says, hey, I can host tomorrow. And before he could get out, I could host. I was like, yes, that's perfect.
Let's go.
Let's go. You be the host tomorrow. So that's perfect.
And so
and we
now
can
I'm
go with
hosting.
whatever you want to go. You're the host.
Okay,
Guide
actually,
it.
I forgot. I actually wrote down. We can do some blanket coverage, so we'll
All
just
right,
start.
Let's do that. That
All
gets
right.
us going.
We'll start
So
with.
this is taking off. That means you actually like my segment?
No, I do
that
like
may
that
be the
segment.
first
I
time
do.
ever in the history of our show that you guys like something I did. That's
I like
good.
it.
That's good.
So, blanket coverage.
Right.
The Rico Gathers era is over for the Dallas Cowboys. That makes you feel blank, Derek.
I was going to say relieved, but that also makes it feel like I was sitting here anxious about it before. It's almost just kind of like, okay, we all saw the writing on the wall, so it was just like something happened that we already knew was going to happen. Who knew when it was going to happen, but at some point we knew it was going to happen. We were out here. Amber, you and I were talking about this. I think it was day 2 or 3, when a ball hit him straight in the chest, and it just kind of fell to the ground, and we were like, okay, it's not going to happen. So to me, it's just kind of, it is what we all expected it was going to be.
Nick?
It makes me feel disappointed because I wanted him to be that guy. I wanted him to be the Jimmy Graham and the basketball player Antonio Gates type guy. That would have been cool. It just didn't work. I mean, they tried. He tried. Didn't work.
AG?
Makes me feel good but sad at the same time. Good because I got Will McClay to tell me I was right. Thank you very much. And I told him to do a better job with that. And when draft,
you and Will have been going back and forth on this one for a while. Yeah.
That has been his guy, and he really wanted him to be successful on the field. It didn't work out, and obviously, I told Will, I'm like, yeah, they're not always all gonna work out. Yeah, you're great at what you do, but yeah, there's some.
But come back down to earth.
Let me
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Let me
Let's
tell you a
get
thing or
back
two,
then.
Will McClay.
No, but he is awesome. But sad at the same time because, I mean, if it had worked out, it would have been so good, like because of his physique, his size, and the things that he could have possibly done. And it's always sad. I mean, we talk, especially me. Because we do this show, I criticize people and what we watch and all that. But at the end of the day, when you see a guy leave, and it's still sad, and I'm sad for him that it wasn't enough. He wasn't getting it.
I think relieved is a great word. And that sounds mean. I don't have any ill will toward Rico Gathers, but it is kind of a relief because again, he's the third string tight end, and he is one of the more noteworthy figures on this team because of his background, because of his, he's not afraid to talk himself up. He says stuff on Instagram and Twitter, and everybody wants him to be the next Jimmy Graham. And the writing has been on the wall for at least like a year that it probably wasn't going to happen, and it's just kind of a relief to not have to juggle that in addition to everything else that's going on.
Yeah, I think that the Tom Landry / Bill Parcells, whoever you want to say, has this philosophy of year 3. You get 3 years to kind of figure it out, and for him, he got a full 3 years, and then by the 4th year, I just think that they didn't see the progression of this is going to continue to get better and better. And how long do you hold your roster hostage for it? I mean, he's probably other positions are needed. I mean, a defensive line position, an offensive line, there's gonna be tough cuts there. You can't
Linebackers. We talked about that yesterday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The percentage that Rico gathers goes to a new team and has more success than he did here is blank, Nick.
60%.
Ooh, okay.
You gotta catch more than 3 passes here.
That's true.
I think you can go somewhere and do that. The scary part is if somebody got him and tried to maybe not scary, but interesting would be if somebody took him and did something else with him. Different
switch
position.
positions.
Maybe.
But that
I've
was the
always-
worst part of his game, though, in my opinion. Like, I think his blocking wasn't very good.
What if he's defense?
He-
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
He's got to have. He needs to go play. He needs to go to Europe and play basketball.
that's what I would.
Because think about what he did at Baylor. He led the nation in rebounding, doing things that basketball players do at a workout thing. Now you've been playing football for 3 years. Now you're going to go over. You got a football body with basketball skills. That you can make money. He can make money in this league doing what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, in this league. I'm sorry. He can in this
the
world.
NBA.
In this
In a
world.
European league, for
Somewhere.
sure.
G League. I mean, something.
If he had done that from the jump, he might be in the NBA by now.
He might.
So that's okay. The
Did
Cowboys.
Everybody have numbers on that?
Numbers.
I would put it much lower than that.
Yeah.
I would guess more like about 15% because I think the chances of that happening are about right opportunity. So it has to be the right team. It has to be a team, and the team is. I mean, we all know that if you want to
Say
get
it.
a guy, the Patriots, if you want to get a guy to achieve more than he would achieve other places, they've been one of the teams that can sometimes make that happen.
If they sign him or claim him, he's a veteran. He doesn't have to be claimed, right? Or
I think he would.
well, during training camp, yeah.
He's got that 1-game suspension though too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something to.
If he
teams are
winds
looking
up
at.
in New England, I'm just gonna bury my head in my hands.
I mean, they know how to just kind of create these roles for guys. And so for a guy like him, I could see where maybe they find that one thing that he does semi-well, and they say, okay, this is going to be the only thing you worry about. You do this, right? And he could give them some help in doing that, and it can make him pop enough to where we're like, oh, Rico's doing a little something. Catches 2 balls in the game. That kind of thing where it's like, doing more than we ever saw him do here, but it's all about the role. They put him in a specific role, and he does that decently well. So I think the percentage is low. You tell me what team it is, and the percentage may go up, but right now I'd say 15%.
I hope he catches on. Just during training camp, when you have a free minute, you're watching other teams' preseason games and reading their reports. It would give me a hell of a reason to check in on the Falcons or whoever if he was there. So the Cowboys 2016 draft class loses its second member, Charles Tapper and Rico Gathers, only guys from that draft class who aren't still here. Not counting Zeke, who is temporarily not here. All right, I don't know how to
How
turn.
do you want to go with that?
Oh, I thought you were about to say who's next.
Right.
Oh,
I thought he was going to
no,
go ahead and turn
no.
that straight into a transition.
We are going to talk about that, but no,
All right.
there's no way to do this. There's no way to do this with blanket coverage. But the elephant in the room. You've seen the reports everywhere, starting early this morning. The Cowboys reportedly have offered all of their big 3 top 5 money, and they are flummoxed as to why that hasn't generated more discussion, gotten more names on more signatures, all that good type of stuff. I'm curious for y'all's take on this. I ran some numbers on it that I want to get to, but just what's your take on that? The Cowboys have reportedly offered Dak, Amari Cooper, and Ezekiel Elliott all top 5 money, and yet no deals are done.
I think that statement is a general statement to get them all grouped together. I think that the top 5 means is Dak. That's where the Dak is got to be in the 5 because you're going to insult Zeke if you say anything about other than top 2, or if not number 1. He's got to be number 1, I think, in his mind. So 3 or 4 is an insulting thing, and I think for Cooper, I think it's got to be in the top 3 range, don't you think?
That's really well done because I looked up the numbers. I didn't know off the top of my head. But you're absolutely right. Top 5 works for Dak. Anything other than top 2 is insulting for Ezekiel Elliott, and top 3 is starting to look kind of insulting for wide receiver too. Because here's the drop: Todd Gurley is leading with $14 million a year. Le'Veon Bell's at 13. David Johnson's at 13. The drop to the next guy, who is Devontae Freeman, is $8 million a year. So top 5 money, not buying it.
Now a little bit of a moving target there because Julio is still there. Negotiations
so
going on with Julio.
Wide receiver
is
very similar. Mike Thomas just set the market at 19. Odell Beckham's behind him at 18. The drop off to Antonio Brown is 16.7. Then you got Mike Evans and DeAndre Hopkins both making 16 as well. So again, and if Julio sets it again, then all of a sudden $18 million is the number 3 contract at the position. So again, top 5 is already starting to look kind of dicey.
But I still don't think that Cooper is necessarily a guy I think has to be top 3. I think if he's top 5, you talk about those guys you named, he's right there with those guys. I don't think he's better than those guys necessarily.
I think he should take the deal. I think that if he's in the top 5 with those numbers, now sometimes you know how numbers can be a little of how they, but you're doing the best you can there. So I don't think he's better than those guys.
This is
I think he's as good. I don't think he's better.
He's
so I
as
think
good
he
as
can be
Mike
right
Evans.
there in that area. Yeah.
I don't think he's better than Hopkins.
I don't either.
And I don't think he's better than those.
When did they make this offer?
Since we've been at training camp.
Yeah.
I mean, another thing.
I'm just wondering how long they've been waiting on.
To clear up the confusion, like these offers were not put on the table last night. Reporters got wind that these offers existed last night.
Right.
Like these could have been extended before the team even came out here, for all we know. Just to clarify.
I'm anxious to see that quarterback list of 5. Like, what's that?
Quarterback list is the easiest to deal with, in my opinion.
What do you got?
You got Russell Wilson at $35 million a year, Ben Roethlisberger at $34, much smaller guarantee because it's a shorter deal because he's older. Aaron Rodgers at $33.5, Carson Wentz at $32, Matt Ryan at $30. So you got to hit the $30 million mark to get him into the top 5.
But that's kind of what we were all thinking.
Sure.
Is he's going to be in that range of 30 to 35, right?
Then I don't know why Dak isn't signing the deal.
I am surprised about that too. And again, to go back to, I was going to make the same point about wide receiver. Whether we like it or not, it's not purely about stats and talent. It's not, he caught 10 more passes than me, so I should be comfortable taking less money. Like, that's not how it works. It's the market is set and reset every time one of these deals gets signed. So $18 million was top of the line 6 months ago, 3 weeks ago, and it's about to be middle of the pack for top-tier receivers. I was looking at this. I was like, I bet DeAndre Hopkins is pissed.
Yeah.
Because he's about to be a bargain. And for my money, I think he is the absolute best receiver in football right now.
I agree with that.
Yeah, really?
I mean, you can make
He's
the
good.
argument.
I don't know.
So
I think I saw a graphic the other day. Last year he went like 115 catches without a drop, like something like that. Something just insane to imagine.
And his quarterback play, I know Watson's pretty good, but when Watson was banged up, it never
still,
changes.
yeah.
It's just the same with him. He doesn't his quarterback's gone.
I think he's the best in the league.
He's really good.
I think you're just talking about resetting the floor of what's possible. Like Amari Cooper was shooting for $18 million. Now, $18 million is probably the minimum of what he'll accept as a deal, or his agents, I should say.
I think we're also making the assumption that the overall money is the linchpin, right? There could be other things that are in these contracts that could be holding up negotiated guarantees, the length of the deal, even for Zeke. There could even be some situations where maybe he doesn't want some stipulations the Cowboys want to protect themselves from him getting in trouble off the field. Like, there's a lot of things to factor into this.
Absolutely.
That can change a negotiating position on either side that don't necessarily have to do with the overall money.
You know, the guy that messes it up, or I don't know, messes it up, just confuses the whole thing at quarterback to me is Wentz. Because there's other guys there, they've won MVPs, they've won Super Bowls, they've won both. Wentz, on his way to he got some MVP votes, and he might have won it that year.
I think he would have if he'd stayed healthy.
And I don't doubt that they would have still won the Super Bowl if he'd been the quarterback.
You know what? He's won a Super Bowl.
He's playing really well.
He's won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean,
he has. He has got a Super Bowl ring, and he led them to a position where the backup could come in and win games at home. I would imagine. I can't remember. Did they win at home?
Yeah, they were the 1 seed.
So he won a Super Bowl. I mean,
history. The interesting part about it is, years from now, and I'm talking 20 years from now, when he's out of the league, people that are looking back at the league and talking about the league, they'll in their minds, the back of their minds, be like, he didn't win a Super Bowl? Because they will think he had a great year, he was MVP caliber player, and they won a Super Bowl that year, not even really putting it together all the time that he wasn't the quarterback that won the Super Bowl.
Here's what's weird about that. If they don't ever win another Super Bowl, and a lot of fans that listen to this would love that, if they don't ever win another one, then it'll be like, yeah, he kind of won, but maybe. But if he leads them to another one, then he'll have 2.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
He'll just be like, you have 2.
That's exactly right.
So, and y'all we don't call these shots, and it's a tough thing to parse out. But knowing this, so knowing those numbers, and that these offers have not been accepted by these players, what are you willing to do to get? I mean, are you willing to pay Dak more than Aaron Rodgers to get a deal done?
No, honestly, I believe that, and I believe that the Cowboys will do this, but I believe the Cowboys have kind of a budget, for lack of a better way to put it, and I don't think they're going to extend themselves much beyond that. Now, there may be other things they're willing to negotiate, but the money's the money, and Jerry was pretty forthright about that in his public comments, saying that they weren't trying to set the market, and I don't think they are. I think, and nor should they.
No.
I don't think either of those 3 players. Zeke is probably the closest, but I don't think either 3 of those players is the best at their position in the league. I think Zeke is right there among the best. I think those other 2 are. There are several. When we went through the exercise of the quarterbacks, what do we have? Dak, 9th.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think they are players that necessitate you saying we'll blow up our financial budget in order to get them signed. I think you got leverage with some of them. Now you got to do a deal or 2 to give you some leverage with the franchise tag. But I think when it's all said and done, I think the Cowboys stick to their budget
Especially
and
with
make
a
it happen.
guy that you still don't know what you really have.
Dak.
Dak.
Right.
He
hasn't shown it yet.
Yeah. So
Not
you're
to
still
the level
waiting
you need him
around.
to. Yeah.
I mean, not that list matters so much, but I mean, you're talking about, the peers are voting NFL's top 100. He's not on there. He's not in the top 15 as quarterbacks rated on your peers. I think around the league, people would put him somewhere in the middle, and the Cowboys are offering you top 5 money.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I mean, I just don't understand what they would be waiting for. To be in that group, that would be a good deal for Dak. And so
I don't understand Dak's hesitation if we can assume that these reports are accurate. I tend to think it would take market setting to get Zeke here. That's
Yeah,
I mean,
I do
and your point is well made that you can argue for Gurley and Bell and the fact that you can't trust Zeke, but it is what it is. I mean, that's probably what he wants.
But I will believe it when I see it. The report that Jacina Anderson had out there that he's willing to miss the entire season.
I don't believe that at
I'll
all.
believe it when I see it.
Mm.
I don't trust the fact especially if this was going to be the final year, like Le'Veon had last year, where it was like, well, they gotta get rid of me after this year. They can't hold on to me for another year. Then maybe. But is a player willing to give up 2 years? And if you're not willing to give up 2 years, then what good is sitting out 1 year when you'd be back the next year? It just, to me, the whole thing, that does not make sense to me. I can't see him missing an entire season this year.
Not an entire season, but the number that kept going around. And last night, you're hearing a lot of talk about the Zeke contract. It was 10 games. He's got to play 6. He's got to play 6, and so he may. I don't think he'll miss the whole year, but if he's going to do anything,
Got to play 6 to do what? Like, what's the?
I think so. He could get his year. He can get that year, so
the year counts.
So the year would count.
But the thing still about it is that is 10 game checks.
10 game checks.
$250,000 for every game.
I will believe it when I see it. Like, that's a ton of money that, by the way, a guy's trying to get paid. So you would think he wants the money.
And here's another. Well, the fact that he's lost all his incentives anyways, because of the 6-game suspension that he got 2 years ago. So he doesn't have those incentives really to get anyways. But he lost a lot of money. He lost some with legal fees and all that. So I can't imagine him wanting to do that.
I'll believe it when I see it. Now, maybe he will. Maybe he has enough conviction on this one where he's like, I'll take whatever hits come to me. I'll just believe it when I see it.
I'm going to go back to Dak real quick. I will bet everything that I have that he plays the first game with the new contract. There's no way they're going to play a game and not take that deal. I keep pointing to that.
Can I throw out this? I thought about this last night, and it made me think, surely no players would be willing to do this. But what if they got to past training camp, play that last preseason game on that Thursday night, and all three, Dak, Zeke, and Amari, all said, we're out till we get contracts. What happens then?
Jerry and Stephen Jones have a fit. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
No, it's never been done. It's never been done in the NFL, obviously. In the NBA, you've seen teams now get to a point where players have a lot of sway in the NBA. Like, they literally are dictating what teams are going to go to. You got guys with long-term contracts that are basically getting teams to trade them because they're like, I don't want to be here anymore. And I wonder if ever there's a scenario in the NFL where players feel like they have enough leverage, and is that the kind of move they would have to have? Like, when you got three big-time players that are all due for a contract, all three of them together create enough pressure to where they can force something.
I mean, if they really went through with that, I would have to. I mean, the season's not happening without those three. Yeah. Like, you're not winning anything.
But I think
you might not
risk.
Win 3 games without those 3 players.
The biggest risk for them, though, is they alienate a bunch of guys in that locker room.
Absolutely.
And so that would be the nuclear button, because you blow up your team chemistry, because that just screams, I'm all about me. In a situation where, especially for the quarterback, you have to at least project the image you're all about the team.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be a nuclear option. I don't think they would do it. I don't think it would be smart. But it made me think, like, that could create a bunch of really interesting dynamics just across the league. That would be seismic across the league when you start talking about how teams and players interact when it comes to contracts.
Yeah.
I don't think Dak should play. I know somebody said
going
that
into the season
got me thinking, and I agree 100%. I don't think he should play I don't think he should play.
Hold that thought while we take our first break. I want to hear more about that real quick, though. Let's make some advertisers happy.
If you're like me and you love, if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just
get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right. News and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
While a player can look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. It is Cowboys break. There was no football on Monday, so we're talking contract instead. With this team, I think that's an understandable.
We got any Gatorade?
No, why?
Just figured if we're talking contracts, we should be drinking Gatorade.
I'm not.
The
Yeah. I was like, I am not following. Yeah, you're right. Great
Dak's
piece
drinking video.
Great piece of viral content we did with number 4 last week. Nick,
Yes, sir.
I want you to expound on what you said right before the break about Dak. You don't think he should play without a new deal?
I really don't, and I just think that, and I know Derek, you disagree with this. We talked about it just now, but I just feel like if something were to happen, injury-wise or whatever, I don't know if the value is the same. I don't know if the Cowboys look at it. I know the Cowboys will always be that organization that does I think they do the right thing in a situation like that. I still think they would try to sign him, but I think just you're risking so much with him going into a season and playing on the contract, knowing that how much is sitting on the table. I just wouldn't do it, and I think you can get the leverage, if it's right there, if it's really close, I think you can get there. And maybe you don't have to sit out the game, but maybe you float it out there. Like, what if he doesn't play? You've got to like force their hand a little bit. You can't go to the Giants game and lose it. So I think if he misses it, then I think if he at least threatens the holdout, like, listen, I can't start a season without this contract.
Well, the one thing I think you're right. I think the Cowboys are the type of organization that would do the right thing, especially by a player that they think is in their long-term plans. So assuming you did get hurt, I think they would probably honor whatever, if these reports are true that they have these offers out there to those guys, then my thought is if he plays the first game and knock on wood he gets hurt, then my thought is the Cowboys probably still honor that offer that they have out there for him. I don't think they would rescind that because he's hurt and say, no, now we got to dock you. I don't think that happens. And I also think that Dak has something to lose. What I mean by that is, like I said before, the quarterback has a responsibility on a team for everybody on the team to feel like he has more of a vested interest in the team being successful than himself. Because if the team ever starts to think of the quarterback as being in it for himself, it's with any leadership position. When anybody starts to think on that team that the leader is more concerned about his own success than the team, he's going to lose all credibility. And so I think for somebody like Dak, it's very different than even Zeke or Amari. I think he has that to worry about if he wants to be able to lead this team into the future.
I think any player that thinks that way would be so naive and short-sighted that they're not remembering that this guy played for $1 million, $680,000 in the first couple of years. I mean, he's done it the right way. He hasn't made a lot of waves about it. He's been one of the most underpaid and undervalued players in the entire league, and so now it's his time. So I mean, I think for him too, he should also for him, what if you go out and don't play well, and then all of a sudden now that number is going, because right now you're sitting at top 5 money.
That's all okay. I think the problem, though, for a lot of players in that locker room would be, well, then you should have done this back at the beginning of training camp, because then Cooper Rush and Mike White and whoever else they would have brought in here would have been getting those reps, and we would be able to prepare ourselves to be able to play that first game of the season. You were out at training camp, and so I mean, you basically put us in a position where now we're handicapped going into the season without you, and that's more about us than it is about you handling your business. Go handle your business, because I don't think they think the same thing about Zeke right now. They feel like he's handling his business, but guess what? They got running backs out here that are getting number one reps, so they can be the guy that plays week one if he calls.
Do you feel like they did that way with DeMarcus Lawrence? Do you think those hot boys thought he was being selfish because he wasn't getting the surgery? He was forcing their hand a little bit and not saying, I'm not going to get a surgery until I get a new deal. Do you think those guys were upset with him because he was doing it kind of for himself too, which I didn't disagree with?
Right. Once again, I don't think it's the same situation.
Chime in, guys.
I don't think
I'm enjoying this. Derek is taking advantage of this opportunity, and I'm letting him run.
There you go.
I don't think it's the same situation.
Okay.
Now, if he would have waited and it got all the way to training camp, let's say, and then he was like, I'm gonna, like, he gets to the season again, first game, and he's like, I'm out. I'm not playing. I think that's a lot different because you let the whole team go through training camp. You were taking the reps. These other guys were sitting out. They were taking second rep, third team reps, and you knew all along you weren't going to be there, or there was a potential you weren't going to be there for the first game. That hurts the team. It's one thing to handle your business, and the way he did it in the offseason, Cowboys had every opportunity to say, okay, well, we may not have him. We may want to draft somebody. We may want to get a free agent. Robert Quinn, I think part of that was them kind of protecting themselves a little bit in the case that they couldn't come to an agreement. But the point is, they had an opportunity to do something different. You don't give them that opportunity if you wait until week one and then say, I'm withholding my services.
I think that it would be the other way around. I think if it would be worse to sit there as the quarterback and say, I'm not even going to be at training camp, and I'll let you guys do whatever and let Cooper Rush sign another guy and then finally get a deal, and then I come in here and I don't have the chemistry or whatever. He's saying, hey, I'm going to show up at camp. I'm going to do this thing. We're going to get ready, and I trust that in these 4 or 5 weeks you're going to get this thing going. But if you don't, I can't be going into the season against the Giants game without a new deal.
You said something really interesting there that I do agree with. You said, I trust in these 4 or 5 weeks you're to get something done. So if there was an agreement, a handshake agreement, an understanding, while we're at training camp, we're going to get this thing done, and then the Cowboys don't get this thing done, now maybe there's a little bit more of a reason why he would do that, because he feels like there was an agreement and they didn't handle their part of the agreement. I don't know that I think that's the case. So I don't think, again, I still think that he would jeopardize his relationships in that locker room and what those players think of him if he put their season in jeopardy by doing this.
Everybody here knows what's going on. The players know what's going on with him. They know and they understand how this business works. They could know in their mind, like, okay, this is a possibility. This could happen. And when you're dealing with contract talks, what is the player actually doing in those negotiations?
Uh-huh.
You know, that's between the agents and the Cowboys. So the player could be sitting there drinking, eating, whatever. Might as well be out here doing stuff with the team.
Right.
I'll say this, and throw a big cold bucket of water on the debate. I really feel like this will all get taken care of before it's nut cutting time. I think.
When is nut cutting time?
Season, the start of the regular season.
I agree with that.
This is really unique in my opinion because usually these debates form up when a team doesn't want to pay a player. And the Cowboys want to pay these guys. They want to have them under contract. They want them to help them win games. Cynically, they want them to help them make money too. Like these are your three most profitable players and all that stuff.
Can I add one more thing in too?
Yeah,
name a time when, and you see this a lot, name a time when a veteran, high-profile guy actually sat out games during the regular season and eventually somebody in that locker room made a statement that indicated the guys in the locker room weren't happy with the fact he wasn't there.
I mean,
it happens all the time.
Yeah, the Steelers were
furious. Yeah, it happens all the time. And they start off with, it's just business. He's handling his business. But I think somebody on the show even said it last week. Once it starts affecting their business, now it's a whole different matter. And you're losing games because they're not there. Now it's affecting their business. And that's what particularly the quarterback has to be aware of, even more so than these other position players.
Right around the time that I was starting to get really antsy that the Tank situation was going to mess up the season, he signed his deal. And that's just, it's a cliche, but like nothing happens until it happens. And we're going to wake up one morning to find out that the ink is dry on the contract.
The Cowboys love deadlines, boy. They work toward deadlines. They really do.
Which is why the DeMarcus Lawrence thing was so refreshing because it didn't happen that way. So hopefully they were like, man, that was really great to just kind of get out in front of it. Let's do that again.
But no, they actually did kind of work toward a dedeadline because if you think about it.
The deadline for the surgery.
The deadline for the surgery.
Right.
Like that was what was probably in their
Shame
minds.
on me for thinking that they operated any other way.
Yeah.
All right, that ran long. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but as long as let's just hammer all of this out because.
Okay, hold on. Wait.
Oh,
No,
what's up? What you got? What you got?
Garcia.
One of the things that you mentioned, it just kept resonating in my head. It's like, these guys do make the Cowboys a lot of money.
Big time.
And another thing, Dak, again, we don't know all the details of the contract, but aside from the money that is being talked about, you got all these brands and what is it, like companies that want to sponsor you.
Sure. That's a big part of the.
He makes a ton of money.
That's a big part of the
sponsors.
Cowboys pitch is the things that come along with being the Cowboys quarterback. Campbell's Soup wants you. You're going to be on the Sports Center commercials. You're going to, Dak Prescott is in like 8 different commercials. The Oikos yogurt stuff with the, So
he's got sizable contracts. Sizable endorsements.
That's
really
not going to stop him from
Well, by the end of the day,
if
you start adding everything, you're probably making the most money out of all the quarterbacks.
And that's the argument that the Cowboys make. Like Dave said, like what their argument is, if we pay you top 5, being with the Cowboys will help you be top
there.
1 because nobody else, no other brand in professional sports really has the power that the Dallas Cowboys brand does. So if you use it properly and stay out of trouble so that you actually are marketable, then you have the ability to make that distance up.
Let's think about this, too. He gets hurt in the first game. Do the Cowboys still do a big deal?
Who?
The Cowboys.
I think they would.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's all these sponsors that want to talk to him about different things. If he's got contracts, he's got contracts. But some of the things that his agent's been talking with this
he's
company.
still marketable. It's about
Is
the
he?
face.
Not if he's not playing.
No.
Not this year. Hey, let's hold off on that. Are we going to do that commercial still?
Well, how long is he out for?
Well, a whole year.
Okay.
I honestly, I've seen guys that have been hurt that still had endorsements. I don't think it just goes away. There are guys that retire and still have endorsements. It's about the name recognition. Do you have name recognition, and what do people think of you when they hear your name? If it's good thoughts, then you are marketable, and people want you to endorse their product.
I'm just saying, if there's somebody that's wanting to do a deal with Dak and they're going to shoot a commercial and then he gets hurt, they're not doing it. They're not going to do it this year.
I disagree with that.
You're not going to have a guy in crutches do a commercial in October when he's not playing.
You have him sit down. He doesn't have to have crutches when he's sitting down. The point is, I don't think that kills his deals.
I don't think
really
it does.
It doesn't kill them, but I think it shelves them.
It just shelves them.
We'll
talk about it.
Campbell's would be like, we still love you, but we're going to put Todd Gurley in the commercial.
His name is still his name. His reputation is still his reputation.
Okay, Marlo. I hear you.
You think many people out there got that reference?
A few, yeah, a
Okay.
few.
All right,
They'll
good.
tweet us and say, Marlo Stanfield, let's
There we go.
All right, well, now we're really short on time, but I think it's
We're never short on time.
as
We go
much
long
as
we want.
as much as we talk about the big three, 2020 is going to be fascinating just in terms of how many guys on this team are not under contract. These are just some. Like it's even longer list than this, but Lyle Collins, Byron Jones, Robert Quinn, Jeff Heath, Randall Cobb, Jason Witten, Joe Thomas, Malik Collins, Sean Lee, LP Ladouceur, Blake Jarwin, Xavier Suafilo,
All up this year? After
Anthony
this year?
Brown, Tavon Austin. That doesn't include Jalen Smith and Antoine Woods, who both have restricted deals. Yeah. So my question, I was going to go down the whole list, but I'm going to pose a couple. Lyle Collins, does his future lie here?
I don't think
Probably
so.
not.
I don't
Not
think
with
so.
everything you got
I
on
just
the
don't think
on the.
you can't pay
Yeah.
everybody.
I think you're right. Here's a good one. Jeff Heath.
Depends on what kind of deal.
Yeah.
If you're getting a middle of the road deal, I don't see why not.
I think Jeff Heath. Yeah, I think he'll sign that. I think it'll be a middle of the road deal.
Would you sign him to the same type of deal he signed last time, 4 years, $7 million?
Yeah.
Unless I got a better option, which again that'll have something to do with the draft and.
If I can get him to be number 3 and if I could get him to be number 3 and a special teams guy, that would be ideal. You know?
I agree with that.
But you've been trying to replace him. Well, I shouldn't say you. I think the general consensus among fans and media is they've been looking for an option to replace him for years and haven't found one. I honestly believe if you get the kind of play out of Xavier Woods this year that I think he will have, then Jeff Heath becomes a really good number 2, and I think you're okay with that number 2
Yeah.
if Xavier is playing to that level and getting the turnovers and actually making those plays to change games.
If you sign Lyell to a big deal or a fair deal, whatever it is, and then you're sitting with, let's say you had the 24th pick in the draft, would you want to take an offensive tackle?
If he's the best player there, don't window dress your board, Nick.
Well, is he going to play though?
Oh, not if you re-sign Lyle. No.
Then you sign Lyell and Tyron's played, great, and then 24th pick, you're like not going to do that. But if you re-sign Heath and the 24th pick is a safety and it's a guy that's really good that you like, you're going to take
can
it.
still take him.
So that kind of answers my question. I sign Heath to a deal that I don't have to worry about signing another guy.
Here's one for you, AG. Jason Witten and Sean Lee. I think most people assume that this is the last year of their career. Is there any chance that that's not true? You see them here longer than 2019.
I don't know. I mean, Witten maybe another 1-year deal, depending how he does this year. Sean Lee, just hire him as a coach.
I'm
do that.
ready for Sean Lee, the defensive coach.
What's
Not that
interesting-
I mean, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. What's interesting, looking at your list, I mean, when you go
It's
over
long.
it, most of those guys, when you separate them, most of them, not everyone, you can feel like, okay, this guy can be replaced kind of easy. But then once you put the whole list together, I mean, you're replacing a ton of guys.
Yeah.
Like, that really changes your whole team.
And the interesting part about that is outside of Byron and Lyell and Quinn, of the guys that are unrestricted free agents, maybe Malik is in that category. You don't think you're talking about big deals. Like,
right.
The market for them probably is not going to be a big deal.
Right.
The market for them is probably going to be middle of the road, which the Cowboys have shown they can do those kinds of deals and kind of re-sign their own guys.
It's a hard conversation to have in August, though, because, if this defense really rocks, I mean, if Malik Collins gets 8 sacks and goes to the Pro Bowl and this team's in the playoffs,
changes the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Brown, if he gets 4 interceptions for this defense.
The tricky one is Malik. And I could see where the Cowboys could try and do a Tyrone Crawford type thing, and I also will say Jay Ratliff. They tried this on these guys.
Get out in front of it.
Try to sign them now. And does Malik say, well, that's pretty decent guaranteed money, might want to take it, or do they bet on themselves and say, I might have a blow up year, and then I need a lot more than that?
From an optics standpoint, could the Cowboys get away with doing a deal, let's say with Malik out here at camp right now? with all those other three kind of hanging out there and not being done, just from an optics standpoint.
That would be. Oh, they don't care about optics.
No. But
it would be funny.
But from a negotiation standpoint, does that help them? Does that hurt them with those other 3 deals? How does that affect those other 3 deals?
I'll take the word right out of Stephen Jones's mouth and just we can do as many contracts as we want. We've got the space. We'll figure it out. That it all makes sense to them. Well, I asked him to his face. I was like, can you really do 3 contracts at once like this? He's like, we can do 4. We can do 5. So. I think they could. I don't know if they will.
Let's do it. One big stage.
God, that would be awesome.
And they called the press conference, and we're all like, okay, we got it done, and it's Malik.
Yeah.
I would laugh.
We've signed 3 guys, and they signed Malik.
Jeff
Anthony
Heath,
Brown.
Malik Collins, and Anthony Brown. I would die.
And they're all rolling up there, holding their jerseys up like, yeah, paid.
Okay. We are going to take our second break, and we have got some fan questions to get to. We're going to go rapid fire. We'll be right back. All right.
While a player can look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
It's time for Tailgate with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox, the makers of those crazy protective phone cases?
The one and only. They're also wild about protecting parking lot parties from sad drinks. It's why they made elevation tumblers.
Rumor around the crock pot is they're made from stainless steel with a copper lining to keep temps hot or cold.
True, they even come in 7 different sizes, up to 64 ounce, the growler.
I like how OtterBox drinks. Thinks.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Back to the break.
Hello. We are back on the break. It is the third segment. It is time to take fan questions. Let's try to hit as many of these as possible because we're usually pretty bad at that. So,
We are.
I asked for questions. Y'all did not let me down.
Well, not if you're hosting. It should go pretty quick.
Good point. So let's do it. I'm going to – nope,
you
stop. Nope, I'm not going to let you do it. We're going to go.
She's so mean.
She
How
got
is that
him.
mean?
She got him. I don't even think he even knew it.
Really?
Oh.
That's not mean.
Yeah.
Wait, you dig at me?
Yeah, I think she did.
Dave thought
She said,
you were digging
if
at
you're
me.
hosting,
You're right.
It's like,
It's true.
Because Dave jumps in and starts
Roasted.
You know.
Look, I got a lot of opinions about stuff.
All right, let's go.
that was a good one.
My buddy Connor wants to know. Let's assume 6 wide receivers make the team, which is more plausible now that Rico's gone, in my opinion. It's hard to imagine them carrying 4 tight ends. Let's say Cooper, Gallup, Cobb, and Tavon Austin are locks. Again, feels like a safe bet. Who are the other 2 receivers that make this team?
Name those 4 again for me, please.
Tavon?
Cooper.
Tavon with the other 3?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
That's
He's
funny.
a safe bet, Tavon?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
We've been talking about this a lot. We just put up.
Yeah, we just did a top 11. Actually, we did a ranking on the site of this wide receivers. I think it's out right now. And Tavon is 4. You said 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
I think as it stands, I think 4 through 9 it will could change with one or two good or bad plays. But as it stands right now, I'd say 5 is, and this is to make the team, I say Noah Brown, and because they love him, and John V. Johnson is at a 6 right now.
I think I absolutely.
Well, we all did the list, so,
yeah,
so
good point,
we came together on it. But 9th on the list is Boise. I can't remember his name. Cedric Wilson.
Oh, Cedric Wilson.
I cannot remember his name. He could make a couple big plays and jump in there too.
But it also makes sense of what we know of this staff, right? They like guys that they have relied on. They like veteran guys. So when you start talking about a Tavon, they may trust him a little bit more to get back there and catch that punt than they do, a young guy that's coming up that could or couldn't, right? And we know they love Noah Brown. For whatever reason, they love Noah Brown. I will say part of it is he does the dirty work that you don't have a lot of receivers on this.
He is the only guy with his body type, and he can do the dirty work.
Right.
Block, all that
so
stuff.
all those things, when you really start breaking it down, it's not so much about what's happening out here as much as it is about kind of how they tend to build their team, and I think it all makes sense from that standpoint.
Nathaniel wants to know, what's going on with Connor McGovern? Haven't seen him.
I want to know that too. Is he still dealing with the whole chest thing?
Starting to wonder if he should have been a pup guy. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, that he can still be at walkthrough and stuff if he's on pup, right? Or is that not true? Actually, it might not be true.
It's not. You can't do that. So he is.
That's why he's not on pup.
Exactly.
Is so he can take part in learning this stuff.
He's got to be close. He was in full pads the other day during the scrimmage, going through some of the individual drills. So I can't think he's too far along. But it's unfortunate because Zach Martin obviously is out. Cody Winchman.
This is the time for him
I always
to
say it wrong. What is
be
it?
out there.
I think it's Weichman, but I don't quote me on that.
But let's be real.
Cody?
This was a 2020 pick. I mean, this was a pick. This was a pick that they're going to need next year, especially if what we just talked about with Lyle becomes fact. That's when they need him. So they don't need to rush him in right now. They want him learning, so you want him out here and learning. But that's the other. They get into the regular season. They still have practices every day, and we don't get to see all of those.
Fair.
But he's going to be practicing throughout this year. He's going to get an opportunity to be getting himself ready.
He's the
by
Noah
next
Brown.
year.
He's the Noah Brown of the offensive line.
Yeah, by next year
he's going to make it.
They're
he's
hoping to have him
there,
ready by next year if they need him for next year.
I think he's gonna be wearing a lot of baseball hats on the sideline
Absolutely.
this year. Mike wants to know, with so much depth on this team, what's a position that could get shortchanged, as in going light when they make their roster cuts?
It's a good one.
Quarterback.
I hope so. I hope that's true.
I don't know if it's getting shortchanged.
It's accurately changed. Like they don't need more than 2.
Yeah, when you think about doubling however many starters you've got, I mean you'll have 2 quarterbacks. I think that's probably good, but that's not really what he's trying to ask. He's trying to ask another position and
running back. What would you do?
I think
4.
I think 4 is a lock. Like Jameis Olawale is your fullback and 3 running backs.
Safety, because you might keep extra corners, and I don't know if you'll.
That's a good one.
I mean, because Kayvon.
I think we talked about the secondary yesterday, and I think that's fair. I mean, they did 9 last year. If they feel really good about their, front of the line guys, I could see them do 9, especially, if you want to keep 10 or 11 on the defensive line, which seems possible. I could see that. And then now tight end, I would have to imagine they're going with 3 tight ends. So,
can I throw out something real quick? I just noticed this on Twitter. Our sister station, or I don't know if you call it our sister station, but our flagship station, The Fan, they are interviewing Stephen Jones right now. And Jeff Kavanaugh, I assume he's doing the interview. He just tweeted, Stephen Jones says there's no current momentum to make it feel like any deals get done in Oxnard. That's interesting a little bit to me.
I don't like that.
But
I
again,
don't like to hear that.
Once again, that's all part of the negotiation process. Like you throw things out there, and you kind of hope that other people hear them, and it starts to get them to maybe move a little bit more. Because the one thing we keep hearing is they aren't talking. Like they're just not communicating. Maybe this spurs a little bit more conversation. I don't know, but that's at least what Jeff's tweeting here on 105.3 The Fan.
You can't believe everything you hear. I mean, there's 2 sides to every story, but like it's certain. The Cowboys are trying to project. They're like, we want to give you money. Right. Come, let us give you money.
And the players are saying, we want more money.
The players are like, yeah, but tell them what the guarantee is, Steven. That's probably the reality of the situation.
Right.
I would love these players like Dak and Amari to just drop a sentence in there when you interview them. Quit saying like, "Oh, I'm not worried about it. I'm not, manager,
if Dak-
agents are dealing with that."
If Dak Prescott was like, yeah, get him to tell you what the guarantee in the last offer was. Oh my God, that would be
Yes.
gold.
Is that what you're
Savage?
gonna say?
He would not do it.
No, he would
Say
never.
something.
He would never.
He would not do it.
My buddy Pash wants to know, at what point did they bring real competition to camp at kicker? Personally, I don't think they will. Not out here.
I don't think you need it. I don't think you need to bring in the competition. They know. If he's going to get a chance to go out there, if he misses the kicks in San Francisco, they'll have another guy in here.
Do you think that maybe part of this, because it baffles me a little bit that they didn't bring in just another leg, just so they can see him against them to be able to kind of create that pressure and that kind of thing. But do you think that maybe they're trying to in all of this to maybe build up his confidence because they feel like he's a better kicker when he's more confident, and they want to build that confidence? You're our guy.
You know
you're
what?
our guy. You're our
Maybe
guy.
they should.
There might be something to that because they have always said his confidence is what they like the most about him. Like, he doesn't get down on himself when he misses.
Where does he kick the best? Like
Far out? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, 62-yarder. Okay, what's this?
And it's almost like he maybe loses focus or something when he gets down closer, takes it a little bit for granted. I don't know. I'm throwing out.
Yeah, I don't know.
I really don't understand why they wouldn't have brought in more competition for him, especially a team that always talks about the fact that they are about creating competition at every position, and it doesn't seem like they did in this instance at the kicker position.
No. But this is normally what they do. This is what they do. They bring in a guy that can do both, that can kind of help the kicker and help the punter without using a roster spot.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like this is a dual threat guy. Casey Redford is really more of a punter. He's not much of a kicker. He's not really giving him much as far as kicking goes.
Other than a leg to just take some of those kicks.
Take some of these extra point tries and stuff like that.
Ames says, give me some surprising names on the chopping block, which we talk about everything with this team, so it's probably not going to be a big surprise because we just talk about everything. But
because we got 3 weeks to do it, right?
But give me names anyway.
Sean Lee.
Wow, that would be a surprise.
Wow, you just
I
hit me.
appreciate your moxie.
It would
came from way back here with that one.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be a chopping block. I think they would do it in a delicate way.
Press conference,
like a
retirement.
It's the injury is it's going to have to put him on this list or IR for 8 weeks type thing or something where, they just. I don't think they need to do it for money standpoint.
No, they don't. But
that would be a surprise, and it would surprise me. I'm not saying that's what they should do.
I asked for a surprise name, and you gave it to me.
There's one.
I asked somebody.
Who do you want? Kerry Hyder? I mean,
all day at these practices, we're standing around watching and talking to each other and feeling out ideas. And I was having this conversation with somebody. I was like, "Is there any chance that Witten wouldn't make it all the way to the final roster?" No. And like we were, oh, Sean Lee's a possibility, so-and-so's a possibility. I brought up Witten, and they were like, no, that's not happening.
What about you? I mean, can you dream of somebody, like a dream scenario? I say that.
Well, not dream like I want people to get cut.
No, I'm joking because of what you said today in the
chat. I mean, I think I had a dream that they cut Robert Quinn. That's where I'm at the point where I'm dreaming about roster moves.
And as last night was, can be like a dream, was a little foggy too. So it was like, did we talk about that?
I was like, did somebody say that to me, or did I just make it up? I think I made it up. That would shock me.
I got one for you. You think there's any possibility that Darius Jackson, who started camp as the guy getting the #1 reps, ends up not on this team?
Yes, absolutely.
Like a really good chance.
Is that a surprise? But is that a surprise? Would that be a surprise?
Sorry. We were both just kind of like, no.
Yeah.
Just think about where he started to where he would be if he got cut. Like, that seems to be a little bit of a precipitous drop, but.
But he's started at #1 because the real #1's not
True.
here, and
True.
I mean we've said it a million times.
And then they also signed out.
Well, and then that's why I think four running backs is a lock, because I think the people upstairs, at least at the Star, I know there's nobody above us right now, but the people upstairs at the Star saw what C.J. Anderson did to them in the playoffs, and I think that resonated with them. I think they like the idea of having a capable, everyman backup who can do that type of stuff if they need him to.
There will be a former Pro Bowler that gets released. That's not really saying much because Alfred Morris is a 2-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, that's fair. another Nathaniel, too today, says, where do you feel the worst about this team in terms of depth? Not starters, but what position has the worst depth?
Easy, quarterback.
Yeah, good point.
If you want to take quarterback out, you probably have a better conversation. But quarterback is
forget
by far.
quarterback.
Yeah.
Forget quarterback.
Well, just think about the drop off. Zeke to Pollard,
or Alfred Morris, or
Zeke
Darius Jackson.
Zeke to Morris. Dak to Cooper. Tyron Smith to Cam Fleming.
The tackle depth on this team is not inspiring.
Who starts?
No, but
who starts after Leighton?
Joe Thomas.
Yeah,
probably.
I don't think
or
any
they
of them
move
is worse
Sean
than
Lee.
quarterback. Like quarterback is the biggest drop off in my opinion. Now, if you want to get to the next position, I would start to talk about safety. I mean, we talked about it yesterday.
Yeah,
you don't really feel great about either one of those safeties being the guy out there on an every down kind of basis, other than the two starters. So, I'd say safety for me would probably be the next one.
Okay.
What is a position of depth that could get traded when it comes down to it? Roster cuts and such.
I was told last night by some people that defensive line is going to be the toughest position to cut in years for this team.
I can believe that.
So when you think about that, maybe some guys with a little bit of trade value there.
Who would that guy be?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It depends. And doesn't that then run into like what teams are off, what teams want, right?
See, last year was a little tricky because you wouldn't think you would trade the rookie for something. You would kind of keep the rookie and see what you can get. But last year they did the opposite and traded Travarius Ward to the Chiefs, which was kind of a surprising move because he was having a good camp but not a great camp.
I think that was a little bit desperate just because of what happened to Travis Frederick. They traded him for an offensive lineman who wound up not even playing. But
the reason why I say that is, let's say that everybody's kind of, Hyder's doing some good things, and it sounds like he's turning some heads, and they love Chris Covington.
Yes,
Oh,
Christian Covington.
Yeah. But then what about Joe Jackson and Jelks and those guys? Which one would you would feel like if you're going to trade, you'd trade the veteran, right?
You would think, although, as good as Jelks and Joe Jackson might be, like, what are they doing for you on game day? Like, are they really far enough along in their development that they're going to get a jersey and make an impact? Whereas if he makes the team, I trust that Kerry Hyder's going to have a role. I mean, he's been there and done that, whereas Jalen Jelks might be a baseball hat kind of guy.
And how much does it factor in that this year, if they believe this, which I think they probably do, they feel like they have a team that can really go somewhere?
Yeah.
Do you, maybe as opposed to other years where you're willing to kind of mortgage the now for the future.
Yeah.
This may be a year when they're like push all the chips in
all
for
those
now.
Free agents.
because you don't know what the future is going to be, and we feel like we got the team right now, so let's go all in.
That being said, though, you can look at it the other way. Look at all those free agents on that list. You need some guys some of these young players that you can keep, because if you decide to keep, let's say, a Kerry Hyder over a Jalen Jelks, a guy a veteran player who's going to probably be inactive either way. Or do you keep it, because next year, is Hyder going to be your guy? Or would you rather?
The lifeblood, with the CBA the way it is, the lifeblood of a good team is rookie contracts. Good players on long, cheap contracts. So,
which they're getting at a point now that's about to run out. They're about to have everybody in.
But just no pressure, Will, but you got to keep hitting on these draft picks if you're going to start paying these people.
But also, to answer that question, don't throw out maybe cornerback again. Maybe a Jordan Lewis or maybe an Anthony Brown who's only got 1 year left on his deal. Maybe something like that if they felt like Mike Jackson was playing well.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Not with the injury to Byron Jones. I wouldn't. I'd keep a lot of corners.
You can never have too many good corners, man.
One last one for Lance, because he tweeted me during the show. Shout out to Lance. You seen anything more from Tristan Hill since the last time we talked about him? I know Rod Marinelli called him the caboose on the train. Got to speed up or get left behind. I feel like I've seen him flash a little bit more here over the last couple days.
He's moved up to the food cart, they said, and Marinelli said he's got the menu now.
Oh, is that? I must have missed that.
Moving his way up. He's not the
that's
caboose.
good. They gave him.
He doesn't have like the hat like sideways, saying all aboard or whatever, but he's
moving up.
Moving his way up the train.
I've seen him a little more often. He looked pretty good in one-on-ones the other day. I'm encouraged.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I mean,
There's nothing rookie about him.
What do you mean?
other than maybe the way he plays. I bet Rod would.
He looks young. He looks like a rookie.
You're right, but his demeanor and stuff, doesn't he seem like he's kind of been here 4 or 5 years?
I actually would say the opposite. I think he seems like a kid.
He seems
to
like
me.
a baby.
I
You look
do.
at his face and he's like, oh, there's
He's
a
got
baby.
baby fat.
Not saying all that. I'm not saying he doesn't have some of that going with him. I'm just saying his demeanor. He's not like yes sir, no sir. I mean, just
Well,
kinda
you know
like,
what's interesting.
He's comfortable. He seems comfortable.
I was in a quick
wrap
story.
it up.
I was in a I was behind the scenes the other day, and the team was actually we had a company out that's a partner of ours, Reveal Suits, and they were fitting some guys for suits.
Oh yeah.
And so Tristan's in there, and in walks the Hot Boys, right? You got
boy.
DeMarcus, you got Crawford, you got all of them, right? And so they're talking to Tristan about his suit and everything. And one of the people fitting him says, "So are you one of the Hot Boys?" And when I tell you real quick, he said, "No, I'm not. I'm not a member of the Hot Boys. I'm not." And they're all standing back there looking at him to see what he's going to say, because they hold that really tight. You don't just become a Hot Boy because you get drafted or because you play the position. You got to earn your way in. So it was just like you could tell, like he knows his place. He knows that I'm not in the club yet. I got to earn my way into the club, and that said a lot to me about kind of how he's probably approaching this and how they probably treat him. Like, dude, just because you were a second-round pick, that means very little. You got to earn this.
It's like the O-line. You don't just get to walk out with the big dogs right
Exactly.
away. All right,
Exactly
that
right.
is all the time we have for Tuesday's break. We will be back tomorrow.
Good job, Dave.
There's a football practice
good job,
today, so we will
Dave.
talk about football instead of contracts, but we'll still probably talk about some contracts. So whatever. Anyway, bye.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!